Welcome to another episode of Lifelong Learner. This is the Out of Class edition with Ben, Janesh, and Matt. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Lifelong Learner Out of Class. Welcome, Matt. Welcome, Ben. How are we doing?
It's really good. Good to see you boys.
Likewise. Great to see you guys.
Seeing it is the Out of Class edition, I thought I would start with a snippet of what was said before air. And just before we clicked record, Ben said, that's the way I would like to go to sleep, just with a heart on all night. Thought I'd just put that out there. Ben, you can defend yourself if you want to. You can, mate, we can move on. I thought, we haven't really been out of class lately. One of our loyal listeners was saying, Janesh, you're very political correct and you're very PC. And I was like, let's kind of throw caution in the wind a little bit today. But I thought I'd start with that, Ben.
Oh, well, mate, let's get into that, then. Let's first of all just talk about your PC correctness. Mate, for some reason you think you have a reputation that you need to protect. And for our listeners, just so you know, not every episode goes to air because our editor-in-chief, Janesh, decides that he's said something that was probably going to offend somebody and therefore it doesn't go to air. So
some of our best work
for the missing episodes. But yes, as far as an erection all night, we were actually talking about headphones. And if you had a headphone in all night, you could listen to erotica. And I said you'd end up with an erection all night while you were listening to the erotica.
True.
I'm not sure I'd want an erection all night.
No, it could be tiring.
It could be.
I don't know if that context made it any better, to be honest. But
Matt, you were talking about headphones, about deformed skulls. Mate, tell me what were you hearing about that?
Yeah, which is why now I've adjusted my headphones. I don't know. I saw it somewhere, and who knows? Maybe it's misinformation. Maybe you can fill in the blanks, Janesh. But allegedly, these headphones, this generation of influencers and I guess gamers who are putting countless hours on the computer wearing these headphones are actually getting deformed skulls. They've got literally this kind of deformation in their head where the part goes across the top just from having headphones on their skulls. Curious.
Is that do you think, because they're wearing headphones at a lot younger age, so when they grow and it's kind of going around?
Maybe, but I think it could just be.
Or is it just because gamers are a little bit, NQR anyway? Maybe.
Could be. It does beg the question, what else is happening? Like, if you think, like, our thumbs, I remember vaguely hearing somewhere that something's happening to the formation of our hands because now we're swiping and using our hands in different ways for phones and stuff. Like, are we going to end up with, I don't know.
There's more earlier onset of arthritis in hands now.
So
this
are
all
they going
sounds
to
a bit
evolve?
like, this sounds like urban myth kind of.
The only reason I say that is I've got very mild, but it's getting worse. Arthritis in my
Cunningham
hands.
syndrome.
Mate, a test case of one, but still, let's not discount
This is
it.
real world evidence.
You're 20 years younger than me, mate. I'd be worried.
Yeah, I know.
Arthritis.
Mate, I'm not doing the 3 shots of injections and peptides in my ass each day, mate, on your bodybuilding protocol. So
I got something for you boys. Where is it? Here it is.
I was just about to say something very controversial, like.
I got something.
But
So
actually, I won't.
now, I'm competing 4 weeks.
mate, tell us about that. What do you mean? What division? What are you
I'm
competing
going
in?
on stage. Well, it's the WFF, World Federation of whatever.
Wrestling?
Something.
In Victoria?
It's in Victoria. And it's a, whatever it's called, international competition held in Australia, being held in...
For what?
Figure.
Bodybuilding.
Swim.
And there's lots of
swimsuit.
categories, right? So
Yeah.
when it comes to bodybuilding, there's lots of categories. You've got bodybuilding, you've got classic, you've got I think it's called physique, which is where you wear board shorts. There's actually a jeans category. This particular class has a jeans category, and each of the categories, and particularly for women as well, there's like bodybuilding, and then there's classic, and then there's wellness. They all have a requirement for different body shapes. So what they've done is they've kind of catered for the different styles of bodies that we all have, and how can you maximize the body you've got given your genetics, and and be competitive in that genetic class. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'll go physique, which will be board shorts or jeans kind of category, and so it's 4 weeks away. So I gotta get proper tidy, like lean,
is there
nasty lean.
Is there a natural and just taking any kind of drug you can to get in the best physique? Because
yeah. So this is open to whatever you like.
Open to interpretation.
Yeah, open to whatever you like. So most comps are. There is a natural league. There are some natural bodybuilding comps. You are, of course, only potentially tested for the naturals closer to the comp, which means you could have been, 10 years not natural.
Yeah.
Clean up for a year and, and compete in the natural. So, but anyway, so I'll compete natural. And so I was talking to Paul, my coach. I said, mate, well, it's time to go. And I said, but I've just struggled this week. I started just kind of, cutting my calories, and I haven't lost any kilos. And he goes, whatever, what are you doing? And then he said, are you wearing a waistband? I go, what do you mean a waistband? He goes, like, like he always says, you haven't got a waistband?
are
Like
you
that.
reading?
I go, what do you mean? He goes, a waistband. I said, what is it? He said, it's like a Velcro thing. You put it around your waist, and you do it up really tight.
That's what the movies wear.
Yeah, but that's not what context, please.
Right? And the idea is that it generates heat on your abdominal fat when you're training. And that extra heat and blood flow burns the fat. That's what I said. I said, that doesn't sound like science to me. Doesn't sound like science. And he goes, like,
people do it.
Whatever. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Don't listen to me. I go, mate, I'm not dissing you. Your bodybuilding, years of experience and all the history that bodybuilders have. Straight home, Amazon. Arrived in the mail yesterday. So I trained with it today while I was on the phone with Rhino doing stair climber. I had this on. Mate, you get hot. Your belly gets hot. Now,
see, I always
Are you
thought
just
that was
losing
like
water from there, or?
it's burning fat. Did you not hear me? It's burning fat.
Mate, next you're going to get some cling wrap around. As soon as that's in the wash and you forget it, you're going to get Michelle to stand there and go, hun, and you're just turning around. And get some cling wrap around there.
Here's the waistband. And I'm back on the arsonist, which we might have spoken on in a previous podcast, which is the legal fat burner, which has got 5 cups of coffee worth of caffeine in it, and some ephedrine-like substances.
I have questions. So you're competing in 1 month. What's the goal here? What's the BMI? What percentage body fat are you going for? Also,
I'm going for sub 8. Be nice to be 6.
okay. Are you going to be not hydrating at all for 24 hours before? How serious are you?
I'll do it like I did last time for the photo shoot, but I'll just end up going into competition week leaner. I hope to go into competition week at maybe 9 or 8%.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll do the competition week leaning up, which is, of course, massive hydration, restrict carbs, shot of vodka before bed, and the whole shebang. And then I compete again a month later in Perth.
Oh, really? So November as well.
Yeah. So I'll do, this is a warm-up, and ready for the Mr. Universe in Perth.
Oh, mate. So
This
where is
open? Any age group, any person.
No, I'll do physique. I'll do physique in they have lots of categories. They have some weight categories, they have height categories. Every league has different categories. And then they have body type categories, so physique, whatever it might be. I'll compete in masters, which is over 50. I'll probably put my hat in for beginner or novice, so the beginner category, first time competing. So you can of course, each category costs you whatever it is, $150 being a category. But mate, it'd be nice to come away with a place of some kind.
Mate, so what have you learned so far? And I'm curious, we'll check in kind of as the weeks go by. But as soon as you kind of threw, how long ago did you throw your hat in to actually commit to enter into the October one?
Yesterday.
What?
No, we spoke about it a week before. I said to my trainer, Paul, I said, mate, I need you to rev me up. I need to rev up. This Perth, it's 10 weeks away.
Too far.
Oh, it's just too far for my simple brain to comprehend staying the discipline for 10 weeks. And he said, well, why don't you compete in the October one? Why don't you do the October one? And I went, oh, really? Could I be ready? He goes, you could be ready. You could be ready. You just need to be disciplined. And
which is what you are.
So I said, all right, let me think about it for a week. And so I thought about it last week, and then on Monday, I wasn't as disciplined as I could have been in the very first week of saying I'll be disciplined. And so I thought, screw it. I'm going to do it.
You're in.
So one more question. Just again, context. What is training looking like with Paul? What are you doing? Are you doing a split program? Are you doing give us something here? There might be some people who are listening who want to copy Benny. They want to be a
So I was thinking about it this morning. At 5:38, when I was in the kitchen cooking my banana pancake.
Nice.
400 grams of egg whites, half a banana, half a scoop of protein, blended, cooked in the pan. And then while that's cooking, preparing my 50 grams of oats, 15 grams of protein powder, and half a banana, 5 grams of flaxseed oil for my oats later on.
Now's the time where you plug the brand of protein powder and we get a kickback.
True Protein. Yeah. For every 30 grams scoop, you get 29 grams of protein. So it's pure. It's beautiful stuff. And then on Sunday, doing 5 dinners and 5 lunch meal prep. Lunch is chicken breast, cooked, dried to the fuck out. Chicken breast,
boiled chicken,
and rice. Full stop. Don't get confused. There might be something else in there.
So no broccoli, and a little bit of broccoli.
No broccoli for lunch. And then dinner is oyster blade steak, because it's the leanest steak I can find. It's almost like stewing steak because it's so lean, but you can actually fry it in a pan. And broccolini, full stop, with just pepper added. And 200 grams of that, mind you. So I have a pair of scales. Scales now live on our bench. Every single thing that goes in my mouth is weighed. Now, it has been for a year now. I pretty much weigh almost everything that goes in my mouth is weighed. But now it's like hardcore weighed. Like this, when I shake 50 grams of oats in, if I accidentally do 52, I take some out.
Mate, I got a question for you. So,
not me, mate.
Not this week, not this next week, and not week 4. Week 4 is really close. So, say start of week 3 when maybe I'm just talking for myself here. Where
you are?
Yep, I am. When it fucking gets hard to go, I don't want to weigh my shit anymore. Right? I'm curious.
I love weighing it.
Okay, Great. When it gets hard, then Matt and I, for the listeners that can't actually see Matt and I's reaction, Matt and I was like, "This guy's crazy." But when it gets when it gets harder, right, and easier to be less disciplined, right? What's going to get you through? What are you thinking about? What's your thought process? Just so our listeners can kind of go, you know what, I could actually do that because I'm embarking on something, and it's going to be hard and it's going to take a lot of discipline, right? What you're doing now takes a lot of discipline. It's not for everyone, and it's the discipline itself, not even the time on stage, is a feat in itself. So week 1's easy, week 2 maybe easier, and the last week is easy as well because it's like, fuck, we're right there. The buzz is there. But what can you impart in terms of when it gets a little harder or when it gets easier to be less disciplined? You go, oh, I just want to do this. I just want to eat this. And also, hey, we're doing this where you're a social person, right? You go, oh, I kind of really want to eat that, but I can't. Mate, what's going to get you through?
Well, I think one of the keys for personalities like me, and this is definitely not for everybody. In fact, I reckon half the population this is definitely not for, is to burn the boats, is to really bring some pain. I am going on stage. Like, there's no backing out of that. Publicly here on the podcast, friends know about it. Like, I'm going on stage, and there's going to be a panel of 7 judges comparing me against 5, 10, 15 other men that have also trained for this event, right? I have an ego. I have a sense of self-aesthetic worth that will be challenged on stage, and I don't want to look shit. I don't want to look bad. So there's a world of pain when you make a commitment like this versus saying to someone, oh, I'd like to lose some weight this month. No, I gotta lose 4 kilos this month and get down to 8% body fat at minimum. All right. So there's a world of pain. I think that's key to the commitment. And the other thing is progress. When you start to see progress, it's it's the stick is the getting on stage, and then the carrot is the actual progress that you see every week. And when you're really disciplined, you see progress. Now, it's not linear though, and this is the other real key for our listeners, is if you are doing the right thing, if you really are doing the right thing, you will get there. Like, it's just, you will. But there is ups and downs on the way there. And so when I weigh myself, I'll sometimes weigh 75 kilograms, and then I'll weigh 75.2, then 75.7, then 74.9. Like, if I was wanting to lose weight and I was 75, and then the next time I was 75.2, it's like, and then 75.7? What? But then all of a sudden, you're 74.9. Right? And so it's just recognizing that progress isn't linear when it comes to the human body, that it is so complex. The hormones, tiny bit of salt that you might have had there, or just, stress for the day, cortisone, causing fluid retention in your body. There's many ways that we measure progress, and I reckon it's important to measure, really important. Can't go by gut feel. And so we measure weight, we measure body measurements. You might use, percent body fat, impedance measurements, that just recognize that those measurements are going to fluctuate up and down on the way down, if down's the measurement that you want to get. So
how do you, and this goes for both of you, just not with comp prep, but the progress with a lot of things is not always linear, right? So prepping for getting on stage, just normal general fitness, general sometimes well-being, learning a new skill, like learning to surf. Like, how do you go like, oh, I'm going great, and then there's either a setback, but it's part of that journey, right? There's that fluctuation. How do you not let that fluctuation get you down? where you go, you know what, it's not as linear. I'm still doing all the right things. And how do you know you're doing all the right things, say, when you're wiping out all the time on the surf, but you don't actually have the skill to go, you know what, you're just getting in the wrong place, or it's everyone's wiping out, it's a shit part, or you know what, your business is just not making money right now, but you're nearly there. But how do you get through that fluctuation? That fluctuation might be away in the scales in the afternoon. It might be 2 days, it might be 3 days, it might be a couple of weeks, right? So how do you know, even if you really are doing the right thing? I think it's that like that struggle, that climb before you kind of get to that peak. How do you keep climbing and go, you know what, I just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other, because it's easy to go, fuck it, it's not working.
What do you reckon, Matty? Because you'd be experiencing the ups and downs on the way up with your resort building project in Lombok. Like sometimes you turn up to site and you go, guys, what? Like this is just it's not happening. And how do you deal with that frustration or that anxiety or that worry that this whole thing gonna work out?
Yeah, good question. Definitely the gym, it helps me. Having like a really powerful metaphor, like you were talking about, consistency, if you're consistent, it's guaranteed. Like, so having a place where I can prove that, where I know that's true, helps me in other places, particularly surfing, because surfing is, well, it's like golf. You'll have the best surf of your life and the feeling is incredible, and the sense of achievement, and I've hit another level, and then you'll surf again and you're useless. So the gym, a place I can go, pretty closed environment. If I do this thing and I do it, the intensity is the hard part, because it's easy to get distracted. I see people on phones, like, fuck, I don't do that. I do 30 to 50 minutes hardcore. And I know, as you said, if you measure it that day, no change. Measure it after 2 days, no change. Measure it after 3 days, no change. That's usually when people quit, because they get on the scales or they look in the mirror and they go, I don't see any change and it's fucking hard. What's the point? I've had years of, I just chip away, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, and it compounds. And 100 days of going to the gym, you don't fucking recognize yourself. You look incredible, but more importantly, you feel really good. And that's what helps me with everything else is I've trained the gym, you get the physique that you want, but it's not really what it's about. It's about who you become. And there's an amazing feeling of walking out feeling strong. It's the feeling that I'm addicted to, feeling like I've done something hard and I didn't have to. I could have done the easy thing and just fucking chilled. So that feeling now, I know that feeling of strength that comes from failure. And so when I walk onto site, it's the same. There's this internal, if I see shit that's wrong, which I always do, or people not working or something just wrong, there's just a reminder. It's like, there's a feeling, this is the struggle. Struggle develops strength. It's fine. That wall, we'll fix it. I'm aware of it now. Just breathe. It's going to be all right. In fact, and this is the reframing that automatically happens now. In fact, it's going to be better. We're going to make it better, because now I'm hyper aware that looks shit. So I'm going to make sure that looks better by the time I'm done.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I absolutely love the gym. That's why when you're talking about it, I'm right there with you. I think everyone should be going to the gym. But for consistency, for me, it's intrinsic now. It's not about the external. It's about the feeling. And I'm never going to look, I'm not going to be able to, with this mentality, I might not stand on the stage and look, like a bodybuilder, but I feel fucking really, really strong. And that feeling helps everywhere else. Everywhere else. What do you think,
Matty? Because I experienced, it was kind of it was exactly what Janesh is talking about. Yesterday, I've been flying, getting flying lessons.
You've been flying.
Yeah. Yep. Got the
Got
planes.
your logbook.
Got my models.
I know Ryan's flying too, so that's cool.
Mate, how far along are you?
5 lessons in.
Nice.
So we did stalls just recently. We did stalls on Monday. And lesson 1 was like, this is a lot to take in. This is hard. This is going to be hard. Lesson 2, you go, this is not too bad. Lesson 3, not too bad. Lesson 4, not so bad. And then yesterday I went flying, and because the previous lesson I went, this is going to be easy. I'm actually pretty good at this. Anyway, mate, mind you, I'm like a total flying time of 3 hours, let's say, flight time. And I got like 25 hours before I can get my ticket, right? So I'm a long way away from assuming I do it in the minimum amount of time. Anyway, yesterday we flew, and he, at the end of the session, he said, we'll just do a couple of circuits because that's our next thing we're going to learn. He said, I'm not going to teach you about it, but I'll just go through it. And, mate, it was complicated. And I landed. And I didn't land. He landed. And I said, Michael, like, I've got to tell you, in the beginning, it felt really hard. Then it started to get easy. Today, it feels really hard. It feels like this is going to be really hard. I said, I'm a little bit disillusioned. I'm feeling a little like this is going to be too hard. And kind of like you were saying, like, it feels like, have I bitten off more than I can chew? Am I actually capable? Will I actually be a success at this? And so I've sort of had that feeling, and I've carried that feeling since yesterday. And
Where's it landed?
Well, this morning I woke up and I made my cup of tea, did my pancakes, did my oats, made my cup of tea, sit down.
Measured everything.
Sit down to have my cup of tea.
2 hours to have my breakfast.
Before I head off today to burn 400 calories on the stair climber at the gym while I talk to Ryan with my belt on.
With his corded headphones.
With my headphones. And I happened to just flick Instagram on. A mate of mine's been sending me some Instagram stuff. I don't do Instagram at all, but now Instagram's come into my world a little bit. And anyway, because he's been sending me flying stuff, Instagram now thinks I'm super interested in flying only. So the only thing that's in that, whatever that thing is, that whatever.
Flying and weightlifting.
It is flying and people with their clothes off. And, mate, there's a pimply-faced 16-year-old chick holding up the certificate, I've just done my solo. And I thought, you can't even drive a bloody car.
You haven't even passed VCE yet.
And I don't mean that because you're a woman, but you can't even drive a car because you're 16 and you're holding up just done your solo. I got this. And so I think why do I tell you that story is because if someone else has done it, if someone else has built a resort, you can do it because you're no dumber. You're no less capable. You have no less resources, in you as a person. And I think that for me, when it comes to my bodybuilding, like someone else with this body has built a stage-worthy body. Mm-hmm. I can do it. It's just applying the strategy. And as Matt, as you say, it's just the consistency. Keep turning up.
Yeah.
Keep turning up. How does that apply for you, Janesh, with, you've been training for this run coming up, and I know you've had a couple of glitches. How's that feeling for you, and how are you navigating that path?
Mate, so I was very much in my head a couple of weeks ago where I'm like, fuck it. I don't want to put the work in. It's very like I'll be transparent, like a very like I couldn't adjust the end goal in my head. I couldn't adjust it. I was like, if I can't get that, I'm not going to put in the work. It took a little bit of talking. Actually, my coach is called Paul too. Talking to Paul, and he goes, mate, you got to adjust it. He goes, you got to think about it's not just this race as well. Like imagine this race. Imagine there's another one in a month, and go. You got to put the work in. And he goes, don't think of race day. Just think of this week now. Your aim is to do all the workouts and recover each week. Don't think about next week. Don't think about the block. Don't think about race day. And that's been a bit of a switch, actually, which has been good. If it wasn't for that reframe, I would be like, nah, I don't know. Because I know my head can get me through the race, but the body won't get me the time I want if I don't prep. So it was a bit of a reframe for sure, where it's like, whoa, you need that consistency. And the weather's been terrible, right? It's been kind of cold, rainy, bloody gale force winds, and it's easier to not be disciplined. So, but now it's like it's chunking it down to go, all right, all I need to do is this week. And this week, I'm just thinking in my head, like, all right, what do I need to do today? That's it. Don't need to worry about tomorrow. Just what do I need to do today? And get a version of it. So if I can't do time-wise, I can't get the 10K in, I'm like, okay, great. Can I do 5 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon? How do I get a way to get it in somehow? That's changed, but it's helped with the consistency due to the reframe. If it wasn't for the reframe, I'd be the kid in the sandpit throwing the sand toys away and going, fuck it. Can't build my castle because it's raining, so I don't want to build anything.
Have you noticed, I don't know if your brain does this, I assume it's everyone's, that there's 2 stories going on. There's one that's tied to the vision, the goal, I want this, it's going to be incredible to stand on the stage, to feel the pride and know that I put in the work, the story for the reason to do the bodybuilding, or the run, to run 100 Ks and to do it without breaking my body for the next 3 months, be able to cross the line and feel accomplished. There's that story going on, which is tied to your vision, yeah? So you've got this vision, this idea for yourself, this person you want to become, and there's a story tied to that. There's also the story tied to every excuse not to do it. The story of, it's too cold, I don't have the food, I can't even weigh it, so maybe I'll skip today. How do you, and what's the secret for you when the story comes up? Have you got a strategy? Is there, I don't know, how do you not listen to your own excuses when they come up? I guess that's another way of discussing what we're talking about. I know that for me, there's always a narrative. There's always a story. There's like this, my ego's trying to convince me of something. And at the same time, I guess my best self, my true self, is whispering, come on, you can do it. Keep going. There's this constant battle. What's your strategy?
I think, again, this is personality based, because I know if I was talking to Michelle, there's no way she would do this strategy, and lots of people wouldn't do this strategy, which is you got to have the boats burnt. It's the only way I can set myself up for success. Like, I just don't have a choice. I don't have a choice to eat only 50 grams of oats. Like, I just have to.
There.
And I think that's why I need the shorter term goal to build. The pain's got to be within sight. It's 10 weeks away to compete in Perth. The pain wasn't.
It's not real yet.
It was too far in the distance. Knowing that I've only got, and that's a challenge, I think, for me with a lot of things is, my best comes out when my back's against the wall.
Pressure.
You've got to be backed up enough till your back's against the wall, right? When I'm here, not enough pressure. I got to be like with the back's against the wall and the pressure is there. And then the choice to do the other thing that your ego says, which is, look, an extra Ferrero Rocher is not going to matter. Well, when you've only got 4 weeks to go, you realize it does matter. So I think,
So is that internal dialogue for you? You create an environment where there's so much pressure that when the story creeps in of, just have one, it's not going to matter. It fucking matters. So you overpower that with reality. It matters because in 4 weeks' time we're on stage. So shut up, bang, game on, and you don't listen.
Which I know is not everyone's. I get that that's not that's not going to work for half of our listeners. They just that would just be stressful for them. Whereas for me, that fires me up. I feel fired up about that. And yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's funny because I've used that strategy over the years for some things. As I've got older, the strategy's changed for me now. I kind of still have that sometimes. Like the path well worn. It's like I have that path that exists, and then I have this path that I'm trying to sort of create. And it's like I've walked this other path a few times, but sometimes I'm walking the path and I'm like, oh yeah, the story starts. Yeah, yeah, but you've never built. Yeah, yeah, but you don't know this. You don't know this. And so I feel myself going, well, fuck, I feel lost and I'm starting to be convinced that I'm not enough and I can't do this. Do I keep going down this path that I think will lead me towards success, or do I turn around and go back to the highway that I know works? Because I've used that strategy too, for sure. The burn all the bridges. Yeah, it's interesting.
I think what you've had and what Janesh has and what I have on purpose, not by luck, is that we surround ourselves with people that champion us.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? Like, so when we do get questioned, like last night, mate, last night I was a little bit naughty. Last night, Michelle had done these little kebab things. I had
I love your honesty.
I had my piece of oyster blade and my broccolini, and she had left 2 pieces of meat on her plate. She didn't want to eat. Are you going to eat those? She goes, no. And I went, she goes, no. You're competing in 4 weeks. They're sitting there like they're going to be thrown in the bin. And it's only like an extra 50 calories. And I've only eaten this many. And like, I'm hungry. No, you're competing in 4 weeks.
Mate, that's awesome. I think that's what's needed, right? I think it is, and I don't think enough, and I'm going to lead into my takeaway of the conversation. I don't think there's enough people in people's circle that champion, and I think and I said this to Keisha, I've gone, on race day, I don't need a cheer squad, right? The cheer squad goes, yeah, you're tired, it's okay. I go, I want a fucking commitment squad to go, harden up, you've got this, you're in this aid station too long, change your shoes, go, right? I don't think it's as common. People have those champions enough when you do have those doubts that they go, you know what, you've got it, it's fine, just saddle up, like kind of remember why. It's people give each other at times, unfortunately, the easy way out. They don't go, oh, it's all right. Oh, you did it. You did a pretty good job. Like, it's not what I wanted. But yeah, it's interesting. So I would encourage listeners to find those people or bring out that characteristic in your circle, because sometimes they don't know that you want that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
And
tell them what you need too. Yeah.
Like, I don't want a commitment squad every day of the week, right? But I do want a commitment squad like in race prep and race day for sure. Even though I don't want to hear it in the moment, but that's what I need.
If you tell me that as your best friend, you know what I mean? Then I can turn up wearing that hat.
100%.
Because my natural instinct is just cheer. I'm a bit of a cheerleader. But if you tell me, I want you to cheer, but also fucking get me moving. That's easy.
The great man said that the other day. We were talking about something or other, and he said, don't sugarcoat it. Tell me as bad as it could be, because that's what's going to motivate me. And so we said something, and we had a bit of banter about that, and then it was Father's Day, and Michelle said something like, "You got to get rid of those hairs up your nose. Like they're growing out too much. You got to get rid of those hairs. You should have got it waxed last time you were there." And then Logan goes, "Yeah, Dad, that looks gross. You look like you've got like a forest coming out your nose. It's disgusting. How can you go in public with a nose that looks like that?" Like he's done the crank it, right? I said, fuck off. Like, they're not that bad, are they? And he's like, "Dad, they're terrible. Like, it's embarrassing." Mate,
Shaved.
we went straight to the waxing salon. I rang Lynn. Lynn, can you get me in? I got to get my nose done. So on Father's Day, after we went out for coffees, we went to Lynn's waxing salon.
Mate, you got two little sticks up your nose.
The whole Logan and Michelle came into the room and watched me get my nose and ears waxed. Janesh, you said this podcast would be a bit more interesting.
I love it. I love it. Mate, what's Ben and Matt, what's your takeaways from today? Don't sugarcoat it.
Matty?
My takeaway is I think I really resonated with what you were saying around belief. That belief is sort of an internal and an external game. That you firstly work out what you want, and then there's this journey of believing it's possible, believing it's possible, believing it's possible. You got to feed that. That's something you got to feed. You got to remind yourself of all your successes in the past. And then also, as Ben said earlier in the podcast, you've got to find people who've done it. And that's one of the most motivating things, because if you can see it in reality, you can see someone else who's just a human being like you, who also did it. In Ben's scenario, it was a 16-year-old girl who got a flying license. That becomes motivating, because you're like, there's no difference. Like, if they can do it, I can do it. And for sure, I use that strategy. And I think that's really helpful with whatever you're doing. Just find someone who's already done it. And if you can, befriend them too, because then you can literally learn directly from them. But if you don't do that, even knowing that it can be done, that it's been done, is going to help motivate you, help you believe in yourself. And it's a belief game. Whatever you want to build, create, you got to have the belief first. That's the takeaway.
Awesome. Benny?
Yeah, I think the takeaway for my listeners is just recognize your personality type and lean into that. Don't lean into someone else's. If someone else, if you've got a personality type that you're kind of risk averse and don't like stress and stuff, then don't burn the bridges. Find a different way to stay inspired and motivated. But if you are one of those people, then don't burn the bridges. Like, burn the boats, make commitments, bring the pain, and use that to drive your change, and use it to not become stressed, but become fired up, become even more passionate about it. Use it for even more fuel to your inspiration of achieving whatever you want to achieve. So, yeah, just really lean into your kind of personality type and use that to assist you in achieving what you want to achieve.
Awesome.
What about you, Big Ben?
I would say I would go remember two things. Have ask the people around you what you need in terms of like them being champions for you. And two is, when it is getting tougher or harder, what would you say, is it worth it? Is it worth it in 4 weeks' time? That you missed this run or this Ferrero Rocher right now, in 4 weeks' time, are you going to regret it? Most of the time, you're going to say yes. This sleeping now feels good, but in 4 weeks' time, I'm going to be like, fuck, I wish I woke up. Right? And I think that works if it's a shorter goal, because when something gets a little harder in a race, or you're like feeling a little bit less, not as tight as you want to be, you're like, I wish I didn't take that shortcut. Ask yourself, will it matter? And if it doesn't matter, sure, all right. But if it will, then you go, okay, then maybe I should do the work. That and ask your circle what you need.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
it was a good episode, guys.
Yeah,
I think
that was great. Alrighty, team. Till next time, have a good one.
See you guys. Cheers.
See ya.
Yeah.
Thanks Thanks for listening to another episode of Lifelong Learner. If you like this episode and want to know more and hear other episodes, head over to lifelonglearnerpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter, where you'll be the first to know when new podcast episodes come out. And if you want to say hello, tell us a joke, or ask us a question, send us an email at hello@lifelonglearnerpodcast.com. Thanks again.